My story is yet another story of cancel culture. Why are they trying to cancel Roger Waters? Why aren't there real journalists going, hang on a minute, this is bullshit. Maybe I'll call up and see what he has to say. Why aren't you? Piers Morgan, eh? Fucking Andrew, what's his name? Andrew Marr, eh? Ooh, don't get me started. Ignore all the newspapers, because that's all fake news. They are not printing the story in any way that is even-handed. Some fucking Labour MP in Manchester, Christian Wakefield. This is a guy who was a Tory, and he's now switched sides. He's now in Sir Keir Starmer's Labour Party. I hope I meet you face to face in Manchester when I do my gig there, because you, Christian, I've forgotten your name already, and I will permanently soon, because you're scum. You are trying to get me banned from performing in Manchester. Me, the bloke that wrote Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here and Animals and The Wall and The Final Cut. And I'm really proud of it, and it's a huge body of work. And he wants to cancel my rock and roll show for my brothers and sisters in Manchester. It's insane. If we shout the lie loud enough, Roger Waters is an anti-Semite, we'll be all right. We'll get people to believe it. We can vilify him. We can probably destroy him. And we will get him in the end. Well, no, you won't. Because it is a lie. You can gather as many fucking morons together as you want to repeat your lie, but it remains a vicious lie. The narrative that I'm an anti-Semite and that I'm promoting fascism by wearing a leather coat and that I'm having symbols which are crossed hammers, by the way, not swastikas or anything that is literally Nazi, Third Reich, German. 40 years I've been doing, 40 years. Every single year almost between 1980 and now, I've been doing bits of that show. Why now? Why suddenly now would people be picking up and going, he's wearing a replica of a Nazi uniform on stage. He's obviously glorifying the Third Reich and Nazism. He's doing that as part of his general attitude, which is that he hates Jewish people. All over, all the press in the Western world, everything. Roger Waters, anti-Semite, glorifying Nazism, wearing a thing. Okay, well, if we could deconstruct that little bit. In my piece, The Wall, at the end of the fascist bit, in the film it's Bob Geldof, when he's the fascist leader, he's singing all this stuff, which I wrote, about who they are, the forces of evil. And they're in the song Waiting for the Worms. They're waiting to take over the world, waiting to cut out the deadwood. Pink, Bob Geldof, internally realizes that he's made a terrible mistake by wanting to become a powerful demagogue and rule the world. That's why he tries himself in the trial. He tries himself for having become a Nazi. So how you can transmogrify this work of theatre into me glorifying the Third Reich and Nazism beggars belief. Don't get me wrong. I may be shouting and I may seem powerful and whatever, but I'm still really upset. I can't believe that they're trying to do this to me. Yeah. I mean, clearly, well, you can hear it in my voice. Clearly, I'm upset beyond all measure to be called these names. They're deeply, deeply, deeply insulting, not just to me, but to my family, and particularly to my mother and father. My father died at Anzio on the 18th of February, 1944, when I was 5 months old, fighting the Nazis. And when the war broke out and he was called up, he went before the conscription board and declared that he was a Christian and that he'd love to help, but he couldn't join the army because Jesus had told him he couldn't kill anyone. And so he became an ambulance driver, and he drove an ambulance all through the Blitz. And then it was there in London during the Blitz that he became politicised and eventually joined the Communist Party. By 1941-42, he had changed his mind, and he decided that the need to fight the Nazis trumped his pacifism. So he did his basic training, and then he went off to officer training, and he was commissioned in the Royal Fusiliers in 1943. Went off to North Africa, and a couple of weeks later, boshed on a boat, landed in Anzio to make the new bridgehead, and in the big push by the Nazis, he was killed a couple of weeks later. So they're attacking my dad when they attack me. Not just from a personal perspective, but what an outrage that anybody, even for a second, could be speaking about cancelling me. It absolutely denies everything that we ought to be proud of about living in a democracy, or being English, sense of fair play. Matters not who won or lost, it's how you play the game. Mind you, it was an American who wrote that, not some English bloke that's written up at Lord's Cricket Ground. But the idea, even if you disagree with my politics, that I should not be allowed to speak. The MP in Manchester, he doesn't know me from Adam. He has no idea who I am. He doesn't think about it. He doesn't think, hang on a minute, isn't he that bloke who wrote all those songs when he was in Pink Floyd? What evidence is there to support this? Oh, fuck it, I don't care, I'll just go and say it. The fact that people are complaining about me mentioning Anne Frank and Shireen Abu Akleh in the same show, actually in the same song. It's a song called Powers That Be. And I put up the names of victims of violence from all over the world, like George Floyd, right, Blair Peach in England. Everywhere I went in North America, I put up one name from that town. Every town you go to in America, there's somebody who's been murdered by the state or the local police. So when I get to Germany, it's not hard for me to pick some German names. She's there because I'm in Germany. So that the local people, oh good, he does notice that it's not just the Americans who are murdering their own people. We were murdering our own. Sophie Scholl, she was a 19, 20-year-old girl in Munich in 1943, who, with her brother Hans Scholl and a friend Christopher Probst, they started a movement called the White Rose Movement, and they distributed leaflets in the university in Munich decrying the persecution of the Jewish community there, and for which crime they were executed, they were guillotined. I first went to her grave with my missus, Camilla, 5 years ago, and we went back this time because there's no way that either of us could ever visit Munich without going to lay white roses on the graves of Sophie and Hans Scholl and Christopher Probst. Obviously, this doesn't register with the pro-Israeli German movement to have me banned from Germany. But it nevertheless is the reality of my life. And on stage 2 nights ago in Frankfurt, I was trying to explain this to the audience that were there, because I didn't wear the leather coat there, as an act of understanding, really, to the people whose feelings it might hurt, i.e. the relatives of those men, Jewish men, who were rounded up by the Nazis. I sometimes feel like saying, hey guys, what am I doing? What have I done? You rounded them up and murdered them, not me. Sophie Scholl died for those men. She's the heroine. She didn't stand by silent and indifferent. Do you know who is standing by silent and indifferent? If I was standing by now, silent and indifferent to the oppression of the people of Palestine, like you are and your government is, particularly the German government, not all the people, because friends of mine, German friends of mine, are out in the streets protesting against the calumny of the current government of Israel now, just like I am. But your government is standing by silent and indifferent while there's a slow, creeping genocide being perpetrated upon the people of Palestine. This is why I'm being vilified in Germany, is because I'm suggesting that you, the German people, have to persuade your government to change all of that. And I know why it is. You are blinded by the fact that you are German and your guilt about the Holocaust is so great that you've accepted the mantra that Israel can do no wrong, and anybody that says anything against Israeli policy has to be silenced, and will be, by the German government and the German people, because we support the Israeli government, whatever they do. And we couldn't care less about the Palestinian people. All right, well, that's a position, but it's a very warped and strange position. They've been trying to get me cancelled there for months and months and months, and I fought back through the German courts. And I'm happy to say that the local court in Frankfurt, that the judge said, on the basis of the evidence before me, what this man wants to do in this concert hall is clearly not against any law. He should be allowed artistic freedom to express his thoughts and feelings in this piece, which is clearly an adaptation of a longer theatrical piece, which is called The Wall, which he has been performing one way or another and made films of for 40 fucking years. And suddenly now, you're all going, oh, it's anti-Semitic, it's this, it's that, the other. Why now? Well, I know the answer. And if anybody would listen to me, and you are listening to me, I could tell you the answer. The Israeli government sees me as an existential threat to their settler, colonialist, racist apartheid regime. That is why now. And they've done everything that they can think of to discredit me and try and destroy my career, and if possible, destroy me and my family. So that is why it's not rocket science. It's not a mystery that it's taken the Roger Waters haters to catch up with this piece of work that I wrote and produced and directed 45 years ago. What about the Star of David on the pig that you use at every show, which is one of the lies that they've been putting out in all the newspapers? He, in his current show, well, hang on a minute. Back in 2013, when I was in the middle of touring the theatrical piece, The Wall, all over the world, Belgium, one night, and there is a pig, and it has a number of symbols on it, including the crucifix and the star and crescent. The Star of David is only part of a group of symbols that represent dogma. And I started getting complaints coming in. You're being anti-Semitic, you're blah, 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 blah. Well, no, I'm not. Oh, but you're really upsetting Jewish people. So I thought about it, and I thought, there might be something in there. I can imagine some little old lady somewhere in Belgium who might see this and think, I can feel them going, because it really, really upsets them to see the symbol of their religion on this balloon. So I scrubbed it out immediately. We'd done 5 gigs. That was in early 2013. And they're now they're saying that I've done it at every single show I've ever done and blah, blah, blah. And nobody ever tells the story that said he got complaints about it, so he scrubbed it out. And when I understand, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Am I going to keep attacking the state of Israel and its policies in the West Bank and in Gaza? Yes, I am. And I will until the day I die. Or they modify their position to give human rights to the indigenous people of all the lands between the Jordan River and the sea. It's really simple. This whole story for me didn't start till 2006 when I went to Palestine. I saw apartheid in action, even if it was just the roads. Wow, this is weird. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's for Jews only. Don't be daft. Yeah, it is. You can't go on this road if you're not a Jew. You're kidding. No, I'm not. fucking hell, imagine you live in England and you can't go up the M1 unless you're a Christian. It's so alien to everything that we claim to believe in. The guards at all the crossings and places you have to go to, who are all about 10 years old. And even me, there I am with my British passport, because we were in UN vehicles, we were treated like, they didn't quite spit on us. But then I thought, Mom, if they treat me like this, imagine how they treat the Palestinians. And I saw them.
It's actually quite depressing to witness. You know, when you stand in front of an edifice like this, whether it's here or you know, outside a township in South Africa or in the Warsaw Ghetto during the Second World War or in Berlin in the 60s and 70s, there's something, you know, instinctively that this is wrong.
And it's unconscionable the way they treat. And they kill them. They just openly kill them. They shoot them all the time, dead. And they bomb them, dead. And so I've been doing everything that I possibly can to expose that bit. And I will continue to do so. And I will hope eventually to open the eyes of ordinary people in England and in North America, those being the two places where I live, to the evils of the apartheid state of Israel, until such time as they moderate their ways and start abiding by this Bible, this one, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. When I see the army of thugs with their blue and white flags storming through the old city of Jerusalem on Flag Day, beating up any Palestinian who dares to be in their own street, shouting, "Kill the Arabs! Kill the Arabs! Kill the Arabs!" as they march through the street with their Israeli flags. And nobody's going, "Oh, you can't say that. That's a hate crime." And it really is a hate crime, but there's nobody saying that. The police are there egging them on. So cancel culture is trying to get you to believe that in some weird way, my defense of the people of Palestine is more violent than the young thugs kicking Palestinians to death, or the IDF soldiers shooting them through the heart with their sniper rifles, like they did on the Great March of Return to that young Palestinian medic. Thousands upon thousands of them. These are just words, and these are my heartfelt, passionate words. A lot of my political ideals are fostered through this, mainly following my mother. She once said to me when I was struggling with something or other, she said, "Roger, throughout your life, you're going to come up with all kinds of knotty problems, things that you have to wrestle with. This is my advice to you. Read, 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 and then read some more. Find out everything there is to know about whatever the question might be, however long it takes. When you've done that, you've done all the heavy lifting. The hard work is over." What do I do then, Mum? She said, "Next bit's easy. You just do the right thing." You know, it's not hard. But you do have to do the reading, and you cannot believe what the BBC tells you, because it's completely a mouthpiece of government and the ruling class. You are not being told any of the truth. So what I would suggest you should do is, like my mother would suggest you do, and read, read, read. And don't read the Daily Mail or the Guardian. The Guardian. What is a Guardian of? Ugh. Read what people who know about these things have to say. Go to Double Down News and watch Naomi Winborn Adrisi. And I've watched Double Down News. I'm on it now. And it is not fake news. It's real people telling you the real truth about things. So it's really important. If my mum was here, she could tell you. When you've done the reading, okay? When you've done the reading, chaps, you've done all the heavy lifting. Just do the right thing. And if you do, their world will crumble, and we will have taken a step towards peace on earth. It's extremely important to support Double Down News on Patreon. We've spoken a lot today about the media and how they've been subdued by the ruling class. So we need voices like Double Down News to keep us in the picture and to tell us some truth and to help us continue to move towards peace on earth, as I said before. Double Down News.